Today. Oh no! Somehow this is still the Death Stranding opening cutscene. Oh my god. Thought this was ChillPoint.
Oh, it is. Holy crap.
Were you still streaming, Paul, when we came in? I'm sorry, I didn't notice.
I had this dream that I was still in the Death Stranding closing cutscene.
Oh, did you finish?
No.
Oh,
I
okay.
got through the large portion. I got through the credits, but I'm still not done because there's more. To be honest, I don't even know if I've fought like the final boss. I did fight like a big whale.
You saw credits.
And I saw credits, and like a bunch of important stuff happened, and a bunch of stuff was revealed. But I don't know if there's actually more like gameplay, or whether it's all cutscene from now on. Anyway, I'm going to be continuing it on Monday. So just squeaking it in to finish it up before B starts his stream.
Yeah, of Kronkdor or whatever it is.
Yep, Trogdor.
Trogdor?
Trail at Trogdor.
Yeah.
Troglodytes?
Mm-hmm.
Troglodyest of dates?
Hey everybody, welcome to ChillPoint, the show where we talk about video game news, not Death Stranding, unless it's particularly relevant to that week's video game news, which has happened. We did talk about Death Stranding around the time when it was being developed and came out. But anyway, this is kind of the after show, the extra bonus show that goes along with our episodes of CheckPoint up on our YouTube channel, youtube.com.
It's the discussion questions.
For me, it's the main event.
Yeah, it's the part of the end of the chapter where everyone has to sit around and now talk about the shit that went down and like.
Where the after credits portion that you thought you were done the game with, but then you weren't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is basically this is the Hideo Kojima hour-long end cutscene. So we're going to be talking about all the giving you a little more info on the stories that we did do this week, and then maybe talking about a couple that we didn't do. So first of all, now there was some question. Clearly, there's an aspect of this story that wasn't apparently made clear,
right?
And people in the comments wanted to know: is Scrupulous Fingor real? Is he dangerous?
I don't know how that's not clear.
Mm-hmm.
I think Beej repeated it like 3 times that he was not real.
4, actually.
4. I mean,
5
I wasn't
if you count the lower thirds.
I don't count the lower thirds as text that you're saying. I count that as like
6 if you count
text.
Today. That was Graham, though.
Yeah.
I don't do a good Graham impression.
But yes.
Does anyone really?
I mean, I was filmed doing one.
Maybe
for a
Grant
shop
does.
time,
I hear we have a member named Grant, and he does a really good Graham impression. You can't even tell the difference between the two.
Yeah.
George and Gordon.
Sharon Lois and Graham. Graham does a good one, I think, too. Yeah.
So this story is about this character, Scrupulous Fingor, which is a great name, by the way. That's just like a solid name.
Yeah.
Was it was this thing where it was this apparently, was uncovered by this person, Cut Video Game, who shared a bunch of pictures. It was like, hey, if you go into the files of New Super Mario Brothers DS, there's this unused character, that was like one of the ghosts, and the file name is Scrupulous_Fingor.
Mm-hmm.
So check it out. These are the stuff. For whatever reason, he was taken out before the end of the game. That was not true. This person just completely made this character up.
Yeah.
But there are so many thing. Like, it's plausible though, right? Like, there's so many situations where this has happened. There's all sorts of info that has been found in Nintendo ROMs of characters that might have that weren't there originally, or they were considering putting in and then didn't, or different things like that. So it is plausible. But people liked the idea of Scrupulous Fingor so much they started photoshopping him into all sorts of different other Mario games.
And even other things, like there was like a Nintendo calendar from like
yes,
from like the 90s or something like that they had like in the Christmas scene they had shopped Fingor in there.
And so this whole mythology was developed around. It's like, well, actually, what they were going to be doing is they were going to like release it. They were going to like tease him in this calendar and then put him into this other thing. I love it.
If you had shown me a picture of Scrupulous Fingor and said, "Oh, this is a character from the Mario and Luigi series, and it's like a very rare whatever, but it's a thing that shows up, and it kind of shows up like as a little Easter egg and other things, even stuff you've played."
Yeah,
I would have looked at the picture and been like, yeah, okay, no, that looks like something. Because to me, I looked at that photo, I'm like, yeah, no, that looks familiar for some reason.
Yeah.
That's probably a Mario thing I'm just not familiar with.
It has a certain familiar style to it, doesn't it?
Right.
Mm-hmm. There's a one thing I really like, because Nintendo, Doki Doki Panic was where the Shy Guys come from, and Sniffits and Ninjas and all that kind of stuff, right? And those
have been sort of like
up.
weirdly retroactively turned into Mario canon.
Yeah, because of Super Mario Brothers 2 being just that slight edit of Doki Doki Panic, and that being like released in the US, and then that becoming Super Mario USA when it went back to Japan. And it's like that whole weird process means that this little piece of something is now part of Mario canon, and we see Shy Guys show up everywhere. It kind of makes sense. And the fact that, like, and other things too, like KK Song shows up in a lot of different Nintendo games that Totaka worked on. So it's like Easter eggs are a thing, and unused stuff is a thing, and things making their way into games that you never would have expected them making them into is a thing in Nintendo.
And things that like fans draw up that end up making it into games either by accident because somebody just Googled a thing, or because somebody else was like, "Oh, that's a funny thing. We'll put as an Easter egg so the fans know we're paying attention." Like, you get that in media all the time.
Yeah.
And it's actually, and it's even like this because the character is so simple, like it's just this sort of blob with a little finger that points out. On what you can almost imagine it being like accidentally, no, not accidentally, but like actually like a glitched character.
Oh yeah.
Like, one of these things where, like Pokemon has like missing no or whatever, right? Like, it's just like
good old missing no.
It just happens to be like it just like grabbed the wrong sprite sheet, and so it's like 3 sprites put together, but it kind of looks like an actual, like it's like the top half of a cloud plus like a part of a ghost or something, and it kind of works as a character, and so people start thinking about that. Anyway,
if they shove missing no into Pokemon Snap and somebody discovers it, the entire internet will explode.
It's going to be a QR code that crashes your camera, is what it's going to be. Like, that's
you can't take a photo of it.
Yeah, you try to take a photo of it, and your camera just shuts down. So,
and it's like it's one of those things that's like, regardless of how you look at it, it's always facing the camera.
Yeah, exactly. Some sort of weird basilisk.
It's like the thing from Ghost in the Shell, like the laughing man.
Yeah.
That covers things. But anyway, I do like people in the YouTube comments have already. I mean, I'm sure they're not the first ones, but Fingorette has been called.
I've been waiting for that.
I'm sure it already exists somewhere in drawings, but
yeah.
I mean, it's just Scrupulous Fingor with like what the mushroom crown thing.
Yeah, but that means that
and then
when you put the super crown on, you change into a version of Peach that also matches the
so it's just Peach with a new head
with,
and like maybe without a body.
Giant goddamn hands, just like
for just one giant hand.
They kind of like the detached hand thing really makes me think of Rayman.
Yeah, it's true. It does have a bit of a Rayman feel to it.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's just kind of a fun, as Beach says in the story, having everyone kind of have fun and draw fan art of a character that isn't based around, thirst. Although
Yeah.
now that I guess Fingerette might be, but anyway, at the moment we are in the beautiful before time
Before the
it
Rule
gets-
34 sinks
before it
in,
gets
yeah.
ruined, or before other people get their hands on it. Anyway, next story we have is about Stadia. It's not just so. I mean, this story is mostly just dunking on Stadia, but it's not entirely dunking on Stadia.
Yeah.
As
It's not.
I mean, as Graham says in the story, it's like lots of people made fun of this, and we are going to as well.
Yeah.
It's the for those of us who haven't used Stadia, I did not know that there was previously no search function in the system.
Or even a sort function like that. That was a surprise to find out while Graham was reading the story. I'm like, wait, shit, they didn't have a sort function either.
Well, I mean, so we're making fun of Google Stadia for not having the search bar in the thing because it's Google and you Google it.
Yeah.
But like, I think when the Epic Store started as well, they also didn't have like a bunch of features you expect in a store nowadays. So it's not uncommon, I guess, necessarily for a storefront to pop up and not have these things, especially if they're very small.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you have 2 items in your store, a search function hardly
Yeah.
worth it.
But they've got over 100 items, and there's like 150 or 200 games in the Stadia store, and there have been for a while. And it's now 16 months since it came out, and they hadn't that search function. Just
I mean, what
feel
if
like
they were waiting? What if it turned out that they were like, we don't want to add features until we find out that this thing will work, and everyone thinks we're gonna die. Why bother developing it if we're just gonna die? I guess we're still alive. We could probably put some work into it.
yeah, and then awkwardly,
I mean, as I had said, that I'm
they're
actually
like, we
just
made
waiting
it a
for-
year. Let's put some time developing into the. Oh, darn.
Yeah. Given the amount of time that we've had that they had to wait before they got even a search bar from their parent company, that I just was wondering at what point are they going to integrate Stadia into a cloud gaming platform?
Yes,
Well,
I hear that. I think that would be successful.
maybe we would have gotten it sooner if they hadn't gotten rid of all their devs.
I mean, those are the game devs, but still at the same time,
But
it's
they
like,
could have reallocated them.
yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's like, how hard is making a thing to search like 150 items in a database? Anyway,
Yeah.
Personally, I
It's
don't know because I've
probably-
never done it.
it probably wasn't that hard. It was just like nobody had time or something. Nobody considered it to be a high priority, or
Yeah.
or maybe they thought there was a search. It's like, oh yeah, just use the search bar. There isn't a search bar. Wait, what? No, there's no.
See-
Yeah, we haven't a search bar for 16 months. Really? Oh, put the search bar on. Oh, okay.
I feel like that take is probably the most likely thing. Like, I know that it's like, probably not, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but probably yes.
Yeah. It's
I
just-
hope Stadia manages to stick around for at least a few more months. It's nice to have a safe dunking zone.
I start to feel weird because it's like dunking on a child. Like I start to after a little while start to
it's-
feel a
no.
little bad.
It's
It's
still
a-
Google.
it's a business.
You don't- Yeah, you
Yeah,
don't have
it's
to feel
still
too bad
Google,
about
right?
it. Yeah.
It's a business, and I don't feel bad about dunking on a business.
Yeah.
If it was like a little,
I mean, I
indie-
shouldn't, but
If it was like a little indie company, yeah. But this is Google.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
can take
but
it.
no. Yeah, they don't. They have all kinds of ways to filter their own stuff.
I definitely have to like keep that in mind because it gets to a certain point and I'm like, oh, but I just kind of don't. I largely don't give a shit about this. But why do we always really feel like we want to talk about this whenever something stupid happens?
Because it's
Because it is funny.
fun.
So
If we
It's
don't
like-
make fun of them, they'll never learn.
yeah.
Somebody
told
else.
you,
I mean,
safe dunking zone.
Mhm.
and somebody else was going to do it.
Like, and we're not even being that mean.
I think it's more about the fact that it's like we all know that this thing is going to like Google is going to shit can this thing, maybe within another year, let's say, right? and I just have this sense that's like we're all watching it come. Everyone is aware it's going to happen, and there's Stadia being like, no, we got to hang on, we got to we got to keep working, we got to keep doing things, and everyone's like, yeah, I know you think that, dude, but it's okay. You're gonna fail. We all see you failing.
It's not like we want them to fail. It's just
We know it's happening.
Google always takes away the things I like, so I assume I don't even start to like any of their things anymore. I just
Yeah.
assume they're going to go away.
Yeah.
Anyway, in other, I mean, this is actually kind of related in terms of video game storefronts because Microsoft is adjusting their setup so that they are only taking 12% now. So 88% of the revenue goes to the developers, 12% they keep, as opposed to 70% to the developers, 30% they keep. For PC games that are being sold in the Microsoft store.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which is a little confusing because of various, in kind of the Google way, Microsoft has also, like, Microsoft has had over the years maybe half a dozen different things that could be called the Microsoft Store, like
Yeah.
storefronts.
Yep.
And there's still, like, there's the Xbox Store, there's the Microsoft Store, there's the things that there's the, like, Xbox Store that's accessible from your Xbox. There's, like, because there's, like, the apps, and then there's also, like, the web page, the, like, website digital version. There's the one that's available from your actual console, and they're all approximately, like, they've tried to consolidate them so they're all approximately the same, but they operate slightly differently. Like, there's, like, the Xbox Store, which I think is the Microsoft Store, but only games. Like, it only shows you, it's like the same back end, but it only shows you, but it's sort of optimized in terms of how it displays it for games. And then there's the Microsoft Store, which also sells all sorts of just, like, random stuff for your computer, like apps and different things like that.
Sound cards and
And
shit.
also, well, not hardware, I don't think.
Okay, good.
But also, and also, but you can also get games there, and you can also, you can get, like, Xbox Game Pass, which gives you games for your Windows computer, and also sometimes for your Xbox. It's a little complicated. Anyway, basically, I think what this means is anything you're buying from Microsoft digitally, if it's a PC game, more revenue is going to the developers.
Yeah, and it's important to note that the 70-30 split is still happening on all the other stuff. This is just within the PC gaming section. And the reason this gets the reason I say that's important is because the headlines for this make it sound like everything that Microsoft is doing is going for this new 88-12 split, which is not true. And it's clearly a dig, a thing for them to do to try and compete with Epic in the PC gaming space, because Epic is the one that has brought down their thing. But when you think of Epic, you're like, oh, well, the Apple fight thing that they're doing with Apple and Google, and it's like, yeah, I can't see Microsoft changing the 70-30 split on, say, a console, even if Nintendo decided to, or if Sony decided to, because it's still within their own platform. People are going to buy from their platform. And so I don't really see the 70-30 split changing in that regard. But when you're competing with Epic as well, like, there was an article a couple weeks ago about how much Epic has lost in terms of money by running this Epic Store, and that's because they also give games away for free and do a bunch of other stuff. But it's essentially kind of a loss leader. They're trying to take out Valve and other storefronts by giving out free games and getting people to convert over. So I'm just like, Microsoft Store, I don't think is about to give out free games, but that's why they have Game Pass. Game Pass seems like such a good deal, it's like you're kind of getting access to a lot of games for.
I mean, I think I it's expired now, but I had Game Pass for 3 months for $1. So
Yeah. and that's just like that's a gimmick to try and pull people in to stick around for when it goes up in price.
yeah,
My understanding is the 70-30 thing really became public knowledge, whether or not it was already something happening on other consoles, but it was something that became public knowledge when Apple integrated their App Store, like when they came up with the App Store back around like iOS 3 or 4 or whatever it was. Because they were like, hey, we're going to open this up, and here's how it's going to work, is you guys are going to make apps. It can be very simple things, and then you'll get 70% of the revenue, so that goes towards all your work and effort and whatever else, and your support efforts and everything else that has to go back from that app. And 30% is going to go to support this very nascent thing that we came up with, where we're going to have to operate servers for this, and we're going to have to train people on how to put things in and out of the App Store, and make an entire section of our company devoted to like managing all this kind of stuff. And I think then that was accepted as, well, that's de rigueur. Right, like at that point, anybody who was selling anything for a mobile console or for a mobile anything was like, I think that's what we're going to be doing. And then I think that also then worked the same way on the console thing, because I don't know if at the time.
See, I don't even know if consoles are 70-30 split.
Like,
I'm just
I
making
don't
an
think the
assumption with
PS3
that.
was out. I don't think that you were able to buy games digitally for whatever Xbox was out at that time.
Like I think, and I'm could be incorrect in this, but I think like the App Store was quite an innovative thing, because the idea that developers could sort of directly be selling, and so a 70-30 split at the time was like, wait, a 70-30 split and we get the 70? Oh wow.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
because it used to be like you had to have a publisher and they're going to be taking all your stuff, and maybe you'll get, some money back if your
you'll
game
get
is really
30% back.
the sort of record label model.
Yeah. And that's largely because it was like, and that's largely because it's like, bloat on the publisher's thing, but also the publisher is also assuming a lot of manufacturing and everything else has to be done as well. So don't discount that part. Games used to come on discs in boxes with manuals. Like there's lots of stuff, right, you had to do. But
so I mean, Steam was Steam was before Apple, and I don't know what the breakdown on Steam was at the time, but certainly for this kind of walled space, where Apple had full control of the platform.
yeah,
And so, like, I remember articles at the time being like, "Yeah, that's actually not bad. We thought it would be worse."
Yeah.
in
But
terms of the split, but of course,
the point I'm making is that I think Apple was the first one that actually said, here's the split. We're going to announce it in a goddamn keynote. We're going to tell you what it is.
like a marketing point as opposed to just
Yeah.
kind of, because before it was like maybe everyone would be getting like slightly different deals depending on how popular or famous you were or whatever.
Yeah. And our understanding of what goes on in like the Sony store and the Nintendo store is that those are also the splits. But I don't think Sony or Nintendo themselves have ever come out publicly and said, this is the split. This is what we're offering to people. I think it's always been people who've been publishing on the platform having to come out and say, no, this is the split they offer us and this is what we get.
Mm.
In this case, it's your publisher, it's Apple coming out and saying, this is what the split is going to be. And then I think everyone just kind of lined up behind that to say, you know what, that sounds fair. Let's do that. Now, we're moving in this direction of a lot of public pressure on all of these companies to be to start taking less and less money as their cut, and concentrating more of it into the developer, which in a lot of cases I'm like, yeah, I think that does make a lot of sense to say let's see all the money kind of make its way back to back to the people who make the thing. But there's still this thing in the back of my head, this little thing that keeps poking me. It's like, you can't run a shop for free, right? There's always overhead.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is the interesting part, is that I feel like what's been happening is that the stores the storefronts have become so popular
Mm-hmm.
that that the companies that are now moving into this, or that are sort of in the space now, your Epic, Microsoft, Steam, are so big and have their fingers in so many pies that it actually is worth it for them to be operating the actual store at a loss, or at
Yeah,
parity,
I
or
mean,
whatever.
Epic can
Yeah.
afford to do that. They make a lot of money in a lot of other ways, and I mean, you could probably say the same thing about Apple or many other things. But the fact that Epic is doing it is much more uh, it's not out of the goodness of their heart. I'm sure they would love to do a 70-30 split. The reason they're doing that stuff is to get more people to put stuff on their storefront and to try to get rid of other storefronts rather than even just competing with those storefronts.
Yeah, and that's it. And it's funny because the gamer, your customer, doesn't save any money. Correct? Like if
Not
a,
likely,
a
no.
game that is $60 brand new, that's $60 brand new on Steam versus Epic. The only reason to go to Epic is because you've been told that Epic will share more of that money with the person who makes the game.
I mean,
And
I guess theoretically they could put it on sale more often or something, but
exactly.
That's what the free games are for.
Yeah.
That's the whole, like, draw the gamers over. Drawing the devs over is the split.
And like Call of Duty on PC is the same whether you buy it through Steam or Epic or GOG or wherever it is that Call of Duty is published. The pack-in bonuses notwithstanding, Call of Duty the game is the same game wherever, for whatever PC platform that you buy, or whatever gaming store that you buy it through. It's going to be the same on your PC ultimately. So that's a case economically where you are competing on a product. But Call of Duty for the PlayStation 5 is not something that is just available anywhere, right? Like it's available on the PlayStation Store because of the restriction on how you buy things, or it is available physically. And you might even have a PS5 that can buy things physically at this point. You have to have a digital version. And therefore, the price is different. And there's a whole idea of elasticity involved here, but I don't want to get into microeconomics because it's been a long time since I've had to do that. But that is definitely like what they're looking at. Call of Duty for the PS5 is a different product ultimately than Call of Duty for the PC, even though it's like, well, they're the same game. It's like, yeah, they're the same game, but they are not the same game because they're not available in the same spaces. And that's tough.
And I mean, I think app stores are probably at the point now where there's sort of like, say, YouTube or some of these other services where it's actually more like, even after, like, if Epic was entirely successful in their operation and everyone stopped using Steam and started using the Epic Store, I would suspect that they wouldn't actually necessarily change their practices. That, like, it's not like they're trying to the idea, or that they won't necessarily be doing like this bait and switch, be like, we'll make it really cheap to begin with, but then once they all come to us, we'll jack up the price. It doesn't matter though, because the value in the store is less the 12% they can make on the commissions, and more, now we have control of the place where people are buying stuff, and we can advertise whatever we want to every people in there, and we control their experience, within that box.
Yeah.
And, if 90% of people are buying all their PC games in there, and you control what it looks like and what's being advertised, what's promoted, what's not, and you can promote all your own stuff, then you're way out ahead, even separate from the actual, like, making commissions on sales.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of these companies, that control of the market is more valuable than making money off of it directly through the percentages.
Percentages like that, it's true.
And it's part of the reason why you'll see Call of Duty, for example, on sale in all of these different locations, is because it's the same reason why I can go to the mall and I can visit 4 different stores that sell Levi's, including the Levi's store, right? Like, go to the Levi's store and buy some Levi's, and they don't sell any other jeans, and nobody seems to have a bug up their ass about that. But I can go to, like, the Bay, and I can go to, like, fucking Winners, and I can go to like all these other places, and there's all sorts of Levi's up and down the chain of all the different things I can buy. At Mark's Work Warehouse or whatever. I don't think they carry Levi's actually, but I can go to all these different places and find those things there, and they're all the same product ultimately. And that's what we're seeing happen here. Is it's like everyone realized, wait, if the computer is your nexus by which you're going to buy video games, then if we want to compete, we got to get on that Levi's model. We gotta have a store as well to sell our own, blue jeans of video games, and then sell that. Everyone can sell all their shit everywhere if they want to.
Of course, I mean, just like as with video games, as in the physical world, they can do things where it's like, you can buy Levi's at all these different stores, but if you go to the Levi's store, you can get them in the special edition, slightly different color of blue.
Yes, I can get them in half sizes, or I can get them in
we changed the model number slightly because we put a slightly different stitch pattern on it.
Or which is the thing where now there's games where like there's different pre-order bonuses at Walmart versus Amazon versus whatever.
Yeah.
And so then now you have to choose like, oh, do I want to get this thing? Do I want to get that thing?
Or do I have to buy it in multiple stores to get all the things?
God, I just.
What if I want a pair of jeans with 3 legs? Where do I go for that?
The tailor.
I mean, a tailor is the best bet, but I think if you look hard enough, you may be able to find the
big,
three-legged
tall,
store.
and odd.
Like, if you wanted Call of Duty with 3 legs, you would go to a developer to make you a version of Call of Duty with 3 legs, or a modder, or something like that.
A modder. Yeah. A modder would make more sense than a developer.
Well, no, I mean, you can find an indie developer who'd be like, if you pay me enough money, I will make you something that looks like Call of Duty, but it has 3 legs.
I think you would have more luck with a modder.
No,
going up to an indie dev and being like, hey, can you make me this thing? I mean, I don't have enough money to go up to an indie dev and say, hey, can you make me a video game?
Just saying,
to begin with.
If you had the money, if you have the means, I recommend it.
Call of Duty, but everyone has 3 legs. What?
Yeah.
Why?
So, do you know how much money I made last year? Oh, that's a good reason. Okay.
Okay. This conversation's gotten really, really weird. Can we move on?
All right. Let's talk about Mario. How do we feel about Mario? Do we like Mario? Do we still like Mario? Do we like him less now than we did at the beginning of the year? What do we think?
Well, I was sitting in class the other day, Paul, in science. Nintendo sent back this note. It said, "Do you like Mario?" Yes, no. And they didn't give me the other option or the maybe option, and I didn't know if I should send it back or not.
Well, it says who's Mario?
I was just like, Mario's okay,
Results
but I don't want to hurt Mario's feelings, so I'm just gonna ignore this email and delete it.
That's a good point.
Which is what I did with mine.
Results unclear. Ask again later.
I took that survey, and at no point I think.
Oh, you got one of the surveys?
Oh yeah,
I filled it out. Yeah, and at no point in the survey did they say who's Mario. No. Like, they made a lot of assumptions about what I would know.
They sent you the survey because they know that you've been playing Mario games, right?
They sent the survey because I believe we somehow participated in the Super Mario Brothers 35th anniversary.
I played Mario 35 once.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a reasonably good chance that they're taking on their end. It's not like they just sent this out randomly to everybody in the world.
As somebody who studies marketing, studied marketing, as part of the thing is that you want to ensure that there's the stickiness of your campaign, which is what this is to do, is to research the stickiness of the campaign. And some marketers have a problem in that they will market something to somebody, and those people will go buy that thing. They will participate in the process of using the product, but they will largely forget about it because of the generic nature of the product. It's something that's so, do you know what kind of can opener it is that you own? And that's the thing, is that people will go to the store, they'll buy a can opener, they'll come home and they'll use it, and then 6 months later they get contacted by Starfruit to say, how did you like your little beaver? They're like, that's gross. It's like, Nobody knows that they own a Swing Away brand can opener. I didn't know that I owned a Swing Away brand can opener for years upon years, and they're good can openers. And when I found out that's what they were, I was like, oh, now I know what they are.
Okay.
But if you had asked me, if Swing Away had contacted me like 10 years into using this thing, I'd have had no idea what it was.
Hang on, though. Can opener, if the can opener had a fucking mascot outfit thing on it
and a mustache,
I think you would know. I think you would be like, oh yes, I bought that can opener with the mascot. Like,
maybe,
come on.
But I think there's a sense there.
Yeah, I feel like Nintendo has got the like Mario branding pretty much, pretty heavily locked in at this point.
Oh goodness, he's running away, and I don't know if this is a good thing or not. Okay, so no, not everyone in the world just gets an email. It is a marketing email, so if you are part of like, oh, okay, that's a knockoff. That doesn't count. So
don't ruin my shit.
I'm talking now. So it's a marketing thing. So if you have like a Nintendo account and you've said yes, please send me your newsletters. You're getting your thing. And like a couple months back, they sent out an email that was like, oh, it's the end of the year for some regions. You get this email that tells you what your plaything was, and one of the categories they did for this year was like how many Mario games you played, because they were doing the Mario 35th anniversary thing. And I think it's not wrong of them to be like, oh, you own a Nintendo Switch in the middle of the year when we were doing a Mario anniversary big event where we kept telling people about it. I don't think it's uncommon for them to say, well, you probably know what Mario is.
Now, on the other hand, Paul, can you describe to me what Mario has a brother? I think you know that, right?
Goodness.
Can you describe to me what Luigi looks like?
Like Mario, a little taller and wearing green.
See, now that's the thing, is that when you think of Luigi,
goodness.
you obviously think of Luigi, right? But are you sure you remember Luigi correctly?
That is
Paul?
not.
Are you sure that you remember what Luigi looks like? Because sometimes I wonder what Luigi actually is dressed like.
But isn't that an indication that that the branding for Mario and Luigi and Nintendo stuff is so strong that even if people mess it up, it still resonates?
You still know it's Luigi, yeah?
Specifically bought
I
that
think that's the opposite.
because it was funny that Luigi basically was wearing a Where's Waldo shirt.
I'm glad.
And like the brightest blue sneakers for no reason.
But now you can expense it because we used it as part of a bit.
I don't think I'm allowed to expense a plushie I bought like 10 years ago. I think my taxes would not agree with you.
But like that actually is an interesting point though. Like when like we actually did a story about the off-model Mario thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that idea, the branding of Mario is so strong that you can paint anything with like a red hat and red overalls and a mustache, and people go, that's Mario. Even if it's like a horrible homunculus underneath that.
Yeah, all you need to do is put like a red brick and then a black line and then a red brick that looks like overalls, right? They'll just know that's like, oh, that's a very simplified Mario. It's like, I guess it is.
I think somebody did those. They did like little 10 pixel size things of a bunch of video game characters, and it was like, oh yeah, you can totally recognize them,
Which is funny because if you ask people to describe what Mario looks like from the original Super Mario Brothers, a lot of people will struggle because they think that the Mario in Super Mario Brothers looks like he does in Mario 2 or Mario 3, and it's like he doesn't. He is a very different kind of color scheme they had to come up with.
All right, though.
All right.
Important question.
Yeah.
Do you still like Mario?
Right.
I like my answer was I like Mario the same.
The 35th anniversary thing hasn't changed. Because I feel like what they were concerned about is whether they like super oversaturated the market with the 35th anniversry thing.
Yeah, probably.
Because
they did hit it pretty hard.
They did. I mostly just gave them shit,
and then they took it all away.
I mostly just gave them shit because I was like, you tied the collectability of what you said was limited edition stuff to the purchase of a game that consists of 3 games that I've already played. I'm not buying Mario 3D All-Stars because I've played those games or I own them in other platforms and I don't give a shit. But if I wanted those pins, the only way to get the pins was to spend $65
but
on a game or more.
Okay,
I mean,
okay,
that's
they
like
Canada.
deserve some shit for how that all went down and everything. But that's like complaining about a pre-order for a thing.
Yeah, like
No, because
collectible things with a pre-order or with a game is like a pretty common thing.
but a lot of the times when you do a pre-order and you get something collectible, it's like you bought the whole unit perhaps, and it's like you get this thing because you pre-ordered it. They were gating the opportunity to buy those pins behind buying something else, and that was what really stuck with me. Is I'm like,
the pins didn't come with the thing.
they were not free. They,
Oh,
in order to get them,
Okay,
in order
that
to
is pretty
have the
dumb.
opportunity to buy them, you had to buy the game first and prove that you'd bought the game.
That's like the
I
what
don't.
Destiny keeps doing, where if you collect all this stuff in your Destiny game and do all the things, and you can get a special token that you
Yeah.
can turn in that allows you to buy this like super cool hoodie.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, technically, don't they just like keep that hoodie like priced at like $10,000 or something really weird that no one would actually go and buy unless they
There
because
was
the coupon
that.
code like knocks it down.
There was the Destiny thing where it's like they priced it incredibly high, and then they were like, but if you come up with the ticket, then you can buy it
Which
for a
I'm
standard
assuming
price.
is just like a thing to work around their storefront
Yeah.
more than
It just really
But-
like the other thing too is when Heather had reminded me of the fact that they'd come up with a second set of pins because they ran out of their first run, so they came up with a second set of pins.
like I said, this was
Not-
really messed up.
Not a reprint of the first set. They just made a second set of pins that people could then order those if they bought the game, which was kind of like, so if you were of the collecting type, you'd buy the game immediately and order set 1. And
Then
then
you have to
those
buy
would
the
come
game
in
again.
If you could.
to get
I
set
mean,
2.
I
Is
would
that
like,
what they're
I'd
going
like,
for?
I'd like
I
to
don't
point
know.
out if any of this information is wrong, all of this information I have is secondhand because I didn't care enough to go do any of
See-
these things because it was probably impossible to get.
I guess the other, like, I don't know, from a collector standpoint though, is that better than them printing more pins, which is also something they probably wouldn't like. A
Yeah,
collector would
diluting
like.
the
Yeah.
and I'm like, that's the trouble with saying something is limited edition versus limited time, right? That it's like, I mean, we have sold limited time merch through the Lure store, but in some ways we also have some stuff that is technically limited edition because once we're done printing it, we're not going back to print those things again.
I mean,
Like,
that's all. Those are all marketing terms. Some people use limited edition to mean what would essentially be like a special edition thing.
yeah,
But limited edition gets said so often that gets used sometimes even when that's not exactly what it means.
yeah,
I mean, limited. Yeah, and like
So-
for the majority of our stuff, limited edition means there's a minimum amount that we have to make, and so the chances are it won't be worth it for us to make more.
exactly.
It
Because
doesn't.
usually those,
It doesn't mean that we're legally not going to be making more, but
yeah,
to me,
the
like,
minimum.
yeah,
The minimum order quantity on stuff is usually so big. Like you had to print 500 of something, and it's like we have 600 people interested, so we made 600, and we have nobody else who wants them.
And
I
again, it's marketing stuff because limited time, limited edition. This thing is only available for this amount of time.
it's
Is true of most products.
Yeah.
Actually, like it's
like
when they market it that way, they're telling you what the time period is, and part of that is to try and get people to rush out and buy it sooner. But if you think of clothes, once last season stuff goes away, it's not like they're going to make you more,
yeah,
right? And like even with the Lure store, because I see people asking about those We Play shirts again. No, of course we're not going to print more.
yeah.
Like that's there comes a point where we stop making that shirt, and that's just what happens. But it was never a thing where we're like, oh well, this shirt we're going to let you know it's limited time so that we force
Yeah.
you to rush to the store. Like,
I mean, there's things where it's like, one of 250 or something, like where they're actually like explicitly like numbered and stuff, which is a little
Yeah.
different. But anyway,
yeah, that's more of a collector thing at that point, definitely.
but yeah, anyway, the story was about how they're doing this survey, and and they seem to be very concerned about people's attitudes towards Mario, and especially the like I am now tired of Mario. I do not
Mm-hmm.
wish to hear about Mario anymore. He bores me now. His shenanigans are no longer amusing.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I think they really the rumors are that the year of Mario celebration 35th anniversary thing was supposed to start way sooner, but then with the pandemic, a lot of stuff got pushed, and so their window of space for that anniversary ended up being more like 6 months instead of like
So
an actual
it got kind
closer
of
to a year.
compressed.
And in that way, I would kind of wonder if my marketing was like oversaturated, like if people, especially because there's a bunch of anniversaries this year that I'm sure they're
Ignoring.
ignoring or hopefully going to promote at some
It's
point. I don't really
which
care about the DK fans, but I would like the Zelda stuff, and I'm more likely to get that than you.
it's yeah, the with a company as old as Nintendo and with as many very popular properties that are quite old as Nintendo. Basic, like I feel like for the next foreseeable future, Nintendo could make basically every year. Every year will be like a multiple of 5th anniversary for one of their franchises.
This ties into something that first the one thing I thought was um, imagine being Nintendo, a company that has existed since the 1800s, and going for like well over 100 years, where nothing you made was something that you wanted to celebrate every 5 or every 10 years, and then all of a sudden, in a very small, like from 1982, 83, 84 to like 1980, 89, you have a string of stuff that electrifies people so much that they want to see it again and again and again, and they're happy to buy new iterations of it again and again and again. And to be like, um, when you have that many potential anniversaries, like not everything they've made has lasted. Like Mario has an anniversary, and Zelda has an
Uh huh.
anniversary, and Metroid has an anniversary, and Kirby has an
Kirby has
anniversary,
done
right?
some anniversary things.
Right, and to have those things to, like, that were all kind of concentrated there in one time. But it's not like they don't celebrate the 25th anniversary of Balloon Fight. Like, that's not really what happens, right?
Uh, well,
Excite Bike doesn't
I
have a
mean,
goddamn
I
anniversary.
I'm a little surprised that Smash Brothers doesn't have an anniversary at this point, given how big that is.
I
Uh,
mean, they've been doing mostly like I think they're trying to do like anniversaries of like characters
Yeah,
more than franchises. But
but
those are the things that
Mario
got
is
people interested. After
also
all.
a franchise, and whenever they talk about Zelda, they talk about the Zelda anniversary, and Zelda the person does not get celebrated nearly as much as them showing off Link.
it's
True.
like but like the anniversary of Super Smash is like the anniversary of all the people individually involved in.
Yeah, the
Let's
first time
celebrate
they
this
came
time where
together
everyone went crazy and tried
and
to kill
pummeled
each other.
I don't know.
That was a dark day.
The
Dark
original
day.
Smash was literally characters being smashed together.
Yeah,
The opening has them on a dresser.
I mean,
I missed that time.
I
Period.
could imagine them, like, Donkey Kong gets an anniversary, but Mario was in Donkey Kong, but Donkey Kong has it, like, the kind of, it's just, it's unusual to me that they did a whole bunch of, like, Miyamoto and company did a whole bunch of really, like, special work in this period of time that people loved enough that they're like, we want to keep celebrating all of these things over and over. And that is, when you think about it that way, it's like that is a very special, like, the stars aligned at the right point,
Hmm.
and it is
I
kind
mean,
of cool to see that happen.
It's off, that's the sort of golden age in a lot for reason, right?
Yeah.
And then, I mean, speaking of Mario, there's also an update to Mario Party that allows it to be played online,
Yep.
which is
Finally.
Everything except for 10 minigames.
pretty sweet. I don't know. I mean, I was thinking, we've been playing a couple of different Mario Party games on stream, but they all been like the super old school ones, all the for GameCube and N64. I don't know if have we ever actually did we ever
Yeah,
actually play the
we
Switch
did.
one?
Yeah, when it came out, we
All right,
we
okay,
got
yeah.
together. I think we played it a couple of times. I think we played it once when it came out, and then once later for like an all-day game day kind of thing.
Right, yeah, for
Maybe?
like a Boxing Day stream or something.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
something
so.
like that. The
But
update though, like, is actually not bad because you generally have to unlock stuff in order to play through boards. And so if you go into the online mode, everything's just unlocked already.
oh, nice.
You don't get to keep that unlocked stuff. It won't save that stuff, which is kind of a bummer to like progress through your own home game. But
Yeah.
still, I think it's like at least you can grab the game, pop it in, and go online and play and not have to
I like
do a
that.
bunch of unlocks.
I
Yeah.
like that they thought far enough and be like, yes, people will want to have them all unlocked so they can play with their friends. But that doesn't translate into. It's like, why does things have to be unlocked in Mario Party at all? Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe we should try that out now at some point for CTS or whatever.
Yeah, it's the interesting thing is the fact that it came out as late as it did because Mario Party has been one of those games that since it came out, people have been like, where are we going to get DLC for it? Are we going to get new boards? Where's the online play and all of that? And I don't think it's ever gotten any DLC until now.
Like,
And so there's a bunch of speculation about like, well, they're doing it to test it out because they're going to make a sequel, and that's why we're not getting new boards DLC, and that's just why we're getting this. Or maybe we are getting DLC, but it's paid for DLC. But who would
It's-
pay for DLC without the online component? And it's
like
who knows?
the Mario Party franchise for a long time was such a like iterative franchise, right? They put them out like almost every year for
Yeah.
a while,
Mhm.
with varying degrees of success, in terms of people like different ones. So yeah, you can imagine that they would be like, okay, we figured out, we basically adapted we've added online play to the Mario Party Switch engine. But like instead of actually releasing an update, just being like, okay, and then the next Mario Party will have online play, because all we need to do to bring out Mario Party, whatever, 10, 12, 15,
Who knows?
whatever Mario Party,
30,000.
like to bring out the next Mario Party. Now that they have that technology of if they had developed the technology for like online play, it's basically like make some more boards and then release
Yeah.
it as the next Mario Party game. Like,
Yeah.
they,
I mean,
make maybe half a dozen different new mini games, and that's that's the next year's
I mean,
release.
we actually played Super Mario Party as part of a rhythm cafe because one of the external mini games was a rhythm game.
could probably at this point with because they did that with Mario Party the Top 100, where they're like, let's just take the 100 best mini games and put those into the one cartridge, and that was a 3DS release, I believe. But I like the idea of the next Super Mario Party, if they end up making another one, is let's take a bunch of the old games, let's come with some new games, obviously. Let's have some new boards, but let's go into the past to like Mario Party, Mario Party 2, Mario Party 3, and pull some boards from there and update them.
Maybe what we need now is a Mario Party
Collection?
Ultimate.
Yeah.
Where we get like all the past boards and like different mechanics depending on the board that you're playing. And
Yeah.
that could be fun.
Start pulling that into the future to be like, we're going to release Mario Party Collection, so 1, 2, and 3 on a cartridge.
Mario Party remasters.
Yeah.
That could be cool.
All right, so those are the stories we did in the actual episode. Stories that we didn't talk about in the episode. This is actually slightly relevant to things that we have done on Loading Ready Live, actually. So there's a thing called AI Dungeon, which is a system that uses artificial intelligence or a neural network developed, which is called GP. Is it GPT-3? No. Whatever the name of it is, but there's the neural network. We used it actually for a Loading Ready Live bit where we trained it on quotes from our quote database. And then we had people try to guess whether they were real quotes or not. But it's this very sophisticated, GPT-3, yeah. It's this very sophisticated natural language neural network that can, they've trained it on all sorts of stuff, and it can write sort of mostly coherent big chunks of text. And it can take, things that it can remember things from earlier on and start making stuff. And so a while ago, a company called AI Dungeon developed a thing where basically you can play a choose your own adventure, like a text-based adventure, like, Zork, or like one of these old school text-based adventures, except you could type in whatever you want.
Oh,
and
that's cool.
The game would just start making things, right? Like you would be like, I want to go to the cave, and then it would be like, and then it will start describing a cave, and then you want to do this and this and this. So, and it was all artificial. It was all just made up or generated as it goes.
Yeah.
Okay.
DM, I do this.
Yeah, to varying levels of success. It tends to be a little bit. People say like it tends to be like you're like a DM that has a very short attention span. That'd be like, now you're over here in this thing. Like it tends to sort of have weird jumps between things.
Right.
All right.
But the problem they ran into is a lot of people the stories that people ended up wanting sort of telling in this interface were of the lewd
Triple X variety?
The lewd variety.
Sure,
Basically,
okay.
if you give it prompts, as in like, I do whatever to the whatever, it will start
The Busty
writing.
Tavern Maid.
Yes, it'll start writing. It'll be like, oh, then the Busty Tavern Maid. Like it'll start using. It uses your prompts as
Great, yeah.
as impetus to continue on, and
That makes
so
sense.
you can fairly easily convince it to start writing you various pieces of smutty fiction.
Sure. Yeah, and that's definitely what people would have
Which-
done.
Because it's AI, it's gonna have no idea what it's doing, so it's
No,
gonna
of
be
course not.
completely off the wall.
Because the difference between a regular story and an adult, a 18A triple X story is just a few descripting words, really. Like
much.
change a couple lines around, a few descriptors. The software doesn't
I
really
use
care.
the word succulent for some reason.
Yeah.
So, but the issue is that now the company. So the company has there's sort of like a very limited version of it, and then there's a pay version of it. That basically they put heavier duty computing power behind the generation stuff, so it's more interesting results. And the problem they're running into is that the kinds of stories that people, not only are people doing like these adult type stuff, but people were doing like very objectionable stuff with like getting it to tell them about stuff with like underage people or animals or things that they didn't want. And so, I mean,
things that are a bad look for the company, definitely.
Right. And now,
Well, I think it's part of their TOS.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but there's this interesting aspect of, it's ostensibly a story that you are sort of privately creating. The artificial intelligence, the neural network isn't offended by it. So it's like, where that line is between the sort of privacy of the person and this kind of thing. So the company last week, Latitude is the name of the company, implemented a change to put the kibosh to that. But the problem is it's very difficult to, like, as we were talking about, the difference between a good story and like a story that's totally innocent, a story that has erotic content, and a story that has extremely objectionable erotic content is like a couple of descriptor words. Like,
okay, yeah.
And so it's easy. It's very difficult to stop the system from going into areas where they didn't want it to. And so they took a very sledgehammery approach to it, where basically,
Yeah.
if you typed in certain prompts, it would be like, I don't think you want to do that.
Yeah, see, it writes
And then
something
kind of
like, "Oh,
cut-
this got awkward," or
Yeah.
something of that.
And
vein.
then he had 9 wieners. I don't think you want that.
But in order to make that effective for what they wanted, they had to cast the net ridiculously wide so that you couldn't talk about like children at all. Like
Right.
if people
Yeah.
if people mentioned an age, it would be like if people mentioned animals at all,
Right.
it would be like
Yeah.
no.
It's
If
it's like
people
they were
mention-
going for a very specific thing, but because of the word prompting, it actually goes much wider, and suddenly anything that would have been anything that actually was even just completely fine and innocent has the computer's just like, no, I can't do that. That's dirty.
You're dirty. I'm dirty. The computer is like,
I
I'm
mean, the
dirty
AI
now.
doesn't know. The AI doesn't know what's dirty and what's not dirty. Someone told it this was dirty.
You gotta make the computer actually be like upset, being like, "Oh, you're making me dirty." No, you.
And so
Stop it.
they yeah, and the other thing that the thing that people really objected to, in addition to this sort of very strong moderation or whatever you want to call it, is that they did it without notifying. You know, these are paying customers, and they did it without notifying customers, and like in the middle of the night, they made the change without any kind of notice at all. And so people just started getting this thing happen to them.
Yeah, and part of the story, as I read it, was not just, oh goodness, now we can't have not safe for work content or censorship. Part of it was something about that. For this game to learn, those stories, even though they're personal, get sent to the team so that they can review them to try and make their code better.
Right.
And some people are like, "Well, what if I've been putting personal details in there because I've been using this as a way to role play or any of those things?" And suddenly it's like your privacy in that respect. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's one of these things where it's possibly was doing that anyway, but now people are more are realizing that the sort of privateness of it is not as private as they were led to believe. That everything is being in fact stored. In fact, there's another story that I saw about a security vulnerability that somebody found that allowed them to access thousands of stories that other people had written, that other people had generated using the system. So they could look at what other people had done, which obviously is not something they wanted to do. Although my favorite part of this person, so somebody found a security flaw in the system that allowed them to query the database for arbitrary things. They could basically like give me the last 1,000 stories that you created. Give me the last 10, or so they loaded they grabbed like all the stories from the past week, and did some analysis on them. They also found that 46% of all the adventures that they found were NSFW.
Yeah.
Just,
I mean, yeah.
Wait, only 46%?
So yeah, about half.
That seems low.
Half people were using it for not sexy times.
Good for them.
Yeah. So anyway, obviously the developer has been going back and forth on this and trying to sort of mitigate it and stuff, but it's a tricky one. And probably something that's going to become more and more common as this, neural networks get more sophisticated.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
does asking a neural network to do something objectionable, is that the same as, asking a person to do it?
The problem they had too was by releasing it, not maybe saying anything, was that people were tweeting things that just kind of make the story go everywhere. And so if you're not if you don't know what happened, then maybe you don't. It looks like they don't care, or like
So I have
they'll
to
just do
excuse
whatever they
myself for a minute.
want, or that they won't let you consent, like write a smutty story even if it's fine. Like they have no control over their own messaging by putting a thing out without telling their player base what they're doing, which is why you should probably tell your player base what you're doing.
Yeah. There's a new thing for Hearthstone. They're doing pre-built decks.
Oh, that's cool.
I think they're like $20. And this is it sounds like, just because I'm used to Magic stuff, it sounds like a product that Magic was doing, or WotC was doing for a while, called like event decks,
Okay.
where the implication being that they, unlike the sort of starter decks that were, kind of fun to play around with, this is a deck that you could go into a local game store, buy this deck and play at a Friday night paper fight, or a Friday night Magic, and actually be like semi-competitive. Like, this is actually a pretty high powered deck in relation to the current meta. But of course, the interesting thing about Hearthstone being digital only means that this deck can be very tuned to the current meta, as opposed to, obviously anything that they do for Magic has to be made like a year beforehand, so they have to kind of guess about it.
Yeah, well, the pre-built
In
decks that they're making they don't get released when a new set comes out, because they want people to explore and figure out that meta and see what happens. The
Right.
pre-made decks come a little later, so that people who maybe fell off have something they can grab to be a part of the current meta.
Yeah, which is kind of an interesting idea, that they're like, they don't want people, if they just brought out these decks when the new set comes out, people would just be like grab, and then they wouldn't be sort of working things out for themselves. So I kind of like that idea. But also this is work based around the idea that, if you haven't played Hearthstone, and if you used to play Hearthstone but then didn't stop for a while, and you want to like get back into it but don't have a lot of like in-game currency stuff to like make dust or whatever, you can kind of get one of these decks and be.
Or maybe you don't want to build decks. I know deck building is like a big part of the whole deck building game, but I sometimes, like when you're new, trying to figure out like how everything interacts, and just getting a deck so you can play and be like, okay, I'm learning interactions. I understand now that cards work together and stack in a certain way, is sometimes just way more useful.
Mm.
That's why starter packs exist in Magic.
Yep. uh Let's Build a Zoo is a game by it's going to be a Switch game coming out by a company called No More Robots. And it's so what caught my eye about this game is it's like a simulation,
Run a
whatever,
zoo, kind of build a
tycoon
zoo
kind of thing, right?
game.
It's
Yeah,
like you build a zoo and you set up all the places and build things. But apparently, one of the big aspects of this is genetic engineering. So, for instance, you can you can make a DNA splicing machine that allows you to combine animals. So you can make the examples they have: a chicken and a cow makes a chickow, or a crocodile and a duck makes a crocoduck, or an owl and a capybara makes an owlibera.
I
I
love
want to
that
stress that this is not how actual zoos operate.
yeah. Well, the image that they showed to show that these are possible combinations you could get basically just takes like, oh, the chicken and the cow. Well, what if we replaced the cow's head with the chicken head?
Yeah.
The cow body. It's just why I'm kind of into this idea.
Yeah, I don't think they actually made like a unique sprite for each of the 300,000 combinations. They literally were like head, like they just have like a list of heads and a list of bodies and just stuck them.
So
Stick them
yeah,
together.
this game looks like it's in a closed beta right now. It's coming out on PC, and then it'll eventually hit Switch. So what really gets me is that the part that says in this article, it also promises a fully fledged morality system. So if you want to go to the dark side and essentially turn your zoo into a meat factory, you can do that. But of course, you could just have a zoo full of happy animals. That's an option. I'm like, wait, what? Meat factory? Why?
Could,
Who buys a zoo game and nicks it into a meat factory? Why is that an like?
what? Yeah.
Who put that option in? Why?
Yeah. Why would you put that in a game called Let's Build a Zoo? Let's Build a Meat Factory is an entirely different game.
I mean, granted, I wouldn't put it past people to be like, "Oh, can I do this thing and do whatever?" It's just to see, because like pushing the boundaries of games and letting and seeing if they'll let you do things can be fun. But
But yeah,
now I already know. Now I already know that that's a thing, and I'm just like, wait, you put that in on purpose.
but and it's like the idea that the objective of the game is not to have a successful zoo with happy animals, which is sort of what you would expect the object, in the same way that, the objective of whatever sim tower is to have a successful tower with happy people going up and down in elevators. It's like the objective is not to have a successful zoo with lots of people or lots of happy animals. That can be your objective, or other things.
Yeah.
And that there's actually like a morality system in your zoo simulator. I don't know.
I
If we
just
should,
it's
I don't know if we
it's a
should be
weird thing to me.
simulating uh, not morally happy zoos.
Yeah, I mean, that already exists in real life. I don't know if I want that in my simulation game. But granted, I do think the splicing thing looks funny, and the sprite work looks really cute. And if I remember
It does look adorable.
when this comes out, and I have room in my gaming life, which I probably won't, but maybe I'll get it. I like simulation games; they can be fun.
I guess my point, like for as in the chat points out, James and I played the Jurassic Park
Yeah.
park building game, and I'll be honest.
Did you turn it into a meat factory?
No.
Okay.
But there were some what you would call accidents. Some aspects of the exhibits didn't stay in their exhibits. I mean, the thing that happens in every Jurassic Park movie happened in ours.
I mean, it is based on Jurassic Park. I kind of expect that at that one.
Really?
Well,
but the
I
point
don't know
is,
if I blame you personally, Paul, but I might blame James.
the point is, though,
just I might.
that was put forward in the game as a negative thing that you should not have happen. That was a failure state in the game.
Is that negative? I remember being at the moon base and hearing you yell out my name.
Dinosaurs escaping and eating people is presented in the game as something that you do not wish to happen in order to have a successful park.
Well, I mean, I guess if your point is that you need to have people show up the park so you can make money and such, eating your clientele so they can't come back is probably pretty negative. But from the dinosaurs' perspective, it might be just like a fun treat.
It's true. Why don't more Jurassic Park movies consider the dinosaurs' perspective? From their perspective, we're the monsters.
I mean, we are putting them in cages, and they didn't ask to exist in that movie.
From their perspective, we're the ones ripping them to shreds with our talons.
Yeah.
Wait, no.
Our incredibly long forearms.
It's my special dinosaur power. Gowl.
All right. So there's a couple stories here that concern NFTs. And I don't want to go into get bogged down in a lot of thing talking about the whole NFT thing. But suffice to say that so both Sega and Hasbro have been talking about making NFT non-fungible tokens of their
Fungible is so
IP,
IPs.
probably the safest thing to say.
yeah, like from their IPs.
Sega, it's a more concrete plan than Hasbro. Hasbro's thing seems to be mostly like in a investor call. They said that that's something that they're looking into, which could mean a lot of things.
Yeah, and if you've ever read things about investors meetings, it's always an investor being like, "So I heard about this cool new Dogecoin thing.
Yeah.
Are we doing Dogecoin too? When will we be doing this?" Like it happens with the Nintendo stuff. It's like,
Yeah,
are we
right.
doing a new Nintendo
Can
product?
we do like a Johnny
Everyone's
Coin
talking
or
about
something?
one.
And they're like, no, fuck, no, stop.
So,
But
still not great, but
Yeah, Sega's plan is they're working with a company in Tokyo, and they want to do NFTs of classic and new game IP.
Mhm.
And Hasbro's thing is we have a team on the West Coast that's looking into it, and that's largely it's like we're not throwing anything off the table. Our arms are around everything, and we have a team on the West Coast looking into it, and that's largely what they've said.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that is just like, yes, of course we're looking into everything possible to make more money. As a sentence.
Yeah.
I will say that one of the things with the NFTs is that, like, conceptually, like, an NFT is just a thing. Like, it's just this non-fungible token. It's just a token.
Mm-hmm.
It's a piece of paper that somebody has signed, right?
Yeah.
What that paper means is based on various other things that have so like it's so weird the thing that where it's just like we're going to make NFTs. That's the extent of my plan.
Yeah.
And it's like that's not an answer to anything. That's just like that's just like the start of the it's like, well, what does it do? What does it mean? What do like all the NFT does is prove who owns the thing and that nobody else has that particular one. But what that ownership entails could be anything.
And I think I definitely do think there's something to be said for a system by which if you were to buy a piece of artwork, let's start with that, right? Because I've seen the many explanations because it's like, and I'm not a fan of how NFT stuff has been going so far.
Mhm.
There's a lot of reasons why I'm very down on it. But if you analyze just the structure of it, if somebody came to me with a piece of artwork and says, "So we have this piece of artwork," I'm like, "Cool," and like I want to buy it from you. It's like, "Great, that's $10." I'm like, "Here's your $10." They give me the piece of artwork. It's mine. But if they're like, "I'll sell you the piece of artwork, but the condition is that you don't get to take it with you. You don't get to take it home and make it your own. It's going to hang in places. It's going to be available online. People get to look at it because I don't want it to go away. But I will assign you the ownership of it." It's like, "Oh, okay."
All right.
Then,
so kind of like a museum, maybe.
Right. And it's like, so then give me a receipt, and I know it's part of my collection that this thing technically belongs to me, but I don't ever have to have it in my house. And it's like, okay, but how am I going to back up the fact that you're just not selling this to like 1,000 other people? It's like, well, you can't really do that. But at least with the receipt that I'm giving you for now, that I know that I'm selling you this thing, is that I'll put that receipt into something that nobody can actually change. That's what makes it non-fungible, right?
Mhm.
And that therefore, we have a receipt that cannot be changed by anybody, and you can go there to confirm that it's yours, and you can show other people this is what this means, and it confirms that it's yours. And I'm like, everything about that sounds fine,
And
right?
You could
I
use
guess.
it, and you could use it for a real thing. Like
Yeah.
you could say, and the thing is, you can then sell that on to somebody else, right? Like you could use it for the copyright of something.
Yeah. Now, the implementation of how they've been doing all this stuff has been the problem.
There's all sorts of interesting things
Yeah.
that you could do with NFTs. At the moment, they seem to be only being used for stupid things. But
Yes.
hypothetically, there's no reason why you couldn't use them for interesting things as well.
Yeah. And there's
So far,
there's this-
we haven't seen that.
the thing that gets me, like when I was trying to write a story about the Sega thing, is I was like, if Sega follows the current implementation of how this stuff works, and they're saying, so we have this GIF of Sonic the Hedgehog or whatever, we have this picture of Sonic the Hedgehog that was original art that was drawn for whatever, and you don't get to actually have it, but we are going to use this. Then that's the problem of, well, is this going to be one of these things that we have to, burn through a ton of energy in order to generate this token to do this thing, or is this a case where it's like we're going to have this stuff locked in a database somewhere, or like how are we going to do these things to back all this stuff up? And what it made me feel like is like, Sega, have you run out of all of the other possibilities by which you could be making money off of your IP?
Well, okay.
And that you're like, now all we can do is just sell all this old shit. It feels like a fire sale, like they're going out of business.
There's only so many cartoons they can make of Sonic the Hedgehog. They've
First of
already
all,
made like 30 of them.
Yeah.
I know everyone on the planet is like, oh, Sega, Sonic. And that is where their thought ends.
Yeah.
Because nobody thinks about the consoles they made anymore, and sure, why not? But you have to understand, Sega does not just make video games. They had arcades that have been shut down. They've had problems with that. They make other things. They own Atlas.
Yeah.
And they also make all like the Hatsune Miku games
and the Yakuza games.
The things, and they make those other things. And so they do own other properties.
Yeah.
They are making money in other ways. But they're also losing money in other ways. And so maybe they're like, we're not making enough money. We lost a bunch of our arcades. We did whatever. We have to evolve. You have to expand your portfolio. NFTs are the thing to do, and so that's what we're doing. And from business perspectives, that's going to make sense, even if it is destructive.
Yeah, and Hasbro's side of things is the other side, where it's like Hasbro is being very successful, and they are a very large company with a lot of things going on. Like, it's not just that it's Magic the Gathering, right? Because they Transformers and My Little Pony and G.I. Joe and like all the stuff they make. Yes. And it's like there's lots of room there for them to do what it is they need to do. But I think what we're all kind of doing is just waiting to see, are you going to do the thing that in the absolute worst way?
Mm.
Yeah.
And
but like,
I think that's
the
the
only
tension.
reason I bring up the other properties for Sega is I remember when you were talking about the story, when you were writing stuff and you were like, do we do a story on this or not? Blah, blah, blah. And you said, well, it's not like I'm a Sega fan. And I'm like, yeah, it is very easy to take a moral stance when you're not a fan of something. But at the same time, people forget that one company owns generally like 6 other companies.
It's true.
I mean, I feel like Hasbro has that thing, kind of like Disney has these days, where like Hasbro owns so many IPs that they don't even know all the IPs that they own. And so you'll be like, oh yeah, that cool thing. Who owns that? Oh, Hasbro. Yeah. And it's like they don't have the time or the money or the interest in like doing anything with all these old IPs that they own. And I guess maybe they think this might be a way that they can kind of, oh hey, we can make some money off these old IPs.
I got thinking about how this would work, like whether Nintendo would ever do anything like this or not. And the 2 takeaways I had. My first takeaway was, if you think there's a chance in hell that Nintendo would ever sell a piece of their IP in any way, shape, or form to any other person in the public, you have got to be grossly mistaken. They would never, ever do this, because they'd be like, no, this is all ours, and we will go down in flames before we will sell somebody a GIF of Mario doing some shit. That is never going to be anybody else's.
Even
but
though
also,
you don't actually get Mario. It's still
exactly. You don't actually get it. But then secondarily, I was like, Nintendo has been really, really hard. Like, they follow a very hard line of what is it that we do, and they say we bring fun experiences to people. Like, that's the reason
they want to make stuff that's fun.
Yeah,
and they want to make stuff that's interesting and new. So
and
using an NFT and this concept seems like something they probably wouldn't want to do.
There's nothing about buying NFTs that's fun.
I like to take the tact that, because everyone makes fun of Nintendo for not being high powered, or
I have to go. I'm sorry. I have a meeting. I have to go.
Even though this site is definitely for Beach, he's heard it already. The idea that Nintendo is so far behind in their technology that they can't even do their online properly. So
Wait,
how are they gonna I can shove over
Okay.
there. How are they going to get FT off the ground? They'll be 10 years too late. By that point, it'll pass. That's just me being snarky. I like Nintendo more, but
I consider I feel like
Spread
Nintendo.
out.
It's more like it's not. I mean, it is that they're behind and often behind in terms of technology, but it's not that they can't do it. It's that they tend to be a lot more kind of considered. Like,
yeah, no, but the internet often is like, oh well, they can't do anything, and I'm like, yeah, no, I just don't think they want to.
I remember, yeah, my favorite Nintendo being behind thing I always remember is uh one of the like later updates of the Wii U, like that I don't know when it came out. I don't know when they did it, but it was like an OS or a software update that was going to be pushed out to the Wii U, and they were demoing. They were like, look at all the great new features that are going to be coming to the Wii U, and they were demoing like video chat,
Yeah,
and it was like it was whatever it was Reggie and Iwata
yeah,
like doing a
I think it
video
was,
chat
yeah.
and just like being excited as if video chat was this like cool thing that they invented. This was
Yeah.
like 5 years ago. And they're
It
like,
was
look,
so
I can see
cute.
you and I'm waving and you can see me. It was just like,
It was really adorable. Yeah, that was because they demoed a lot of tech stuff for the Wii U that just never happened. I don't think I think they thought the functionality would get there and it just really didn't.
Mm.
Because there was also stuff about you'll be able to get a second Wii U gamepad and then two people can use them, and that never
Right.
occurred.
And a lot of the sort of
video chat never occurred.
And there's a few things that used the like augmented stuff with the Wii U, but nothing. It didn't really quite cook for most of the stuff. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Eh.
I think that's all the stuff to talk about in terms of news. Now that Beej is gone,
He doesn't want to stick around for all the cool Heather and Paul times.
it's true.
I mean, we can't really have the cool Heather and Paul times if Beach is around. It's weird. Third wheel.
Exactly. The whole third leg. So, want to thank everybody for watching. And then coming up, we've got the Friday Night Paper Fight, where it's going to be the $20 local game store challenge, Singleton Popper local game store challenge. The guys went down to Yellow Jacket, our local game store, and they had to make Singleton 60 card Popper decks. So only commons for $20, and we filmed it all, and it should be super fun. I think I'm sure they came up with some silly decks. And then on Sunday,
Yeah.
we have. I was saying yesterday, or the day before, but it's like we've got this. I don't know even what to. We've got this game that isn't taiko drumming.
Yeah, I know, right?
What's
What is this game?
what's inside radio?
I don't. It's inside my radio, and we'll both find out together. Well, I mean, by both, I mean me and chat and whoever shows up, and I guess Ian.
If he shows up.
We have a spreadsheet where we get people to pop in recommendations, and that is how we keep Rhythm Cafe fresh and not just always Owen Dawn or Taiko. Eventually, the Taiko has to end, and we have to go inside a radio. I think it's a platformer. It kind of looks like one of those platformers that where stuff changes to the beat.
Oh, that's cool.
But it was in the recommendation sheet, and it's my turn to go to the moon base. And thus I chose that one because, I mean, it's the green cube with a set of headphones on it.
It's like
I'm very much taken in by games as an aesthetic. So if they have a thing that I like the look of, I am a little bit more likely to play it.
Sassy green cube. That's it's a good aesthetic. And then we were just talking about Hearthstone, and Wheeler is going to be playing Hearthstone. That's the next game on Is This Your Card? He's going to be playing Hearthstone all May. And I believe it's just going to be him on Sunday, but then later on in the month, he's going to be bringing on some sort of Hearthstone ringer expert, possibly. So that should be super fun. On Monday, going to finish Death Stranding. We just did the credits. There can't be that much more, he said, knowing that's not true.
I've said that by Rhythm Cafe game about like 3 times in a row and it never went away. So you could be stuck here, Paul.
Technically, I've done the credits twice now. Like we saw all the people names of all the actors, and then we've seen them, and then they showed them all again, like in a scroll.
Maybe this game might have fake outs. I played a game once that had 3 fake out credits.
Yeah, I got the title card for the game now, so that's good. 60 hours in. But that's we should be finishing that up on Monday. I don't know how long a stream it will be, but we'll finish that up, and I think you can sort of, after the game is over, you can still go around and do stuff, so I might do that. Deliver some more pizzas or something.
Okay.
And then it's the Can't Draw Horses Club with Corey and friends attempting to draw horses and also other things.
Yeah, I think Matt is on with her for this week.
And then on Dice Friends on Monday, Adam and Bij and I are going to be doing another book. I believe we're going to be going back to the Mound of Fairy Kind.
Oh,
whatever
yes.
that one was.
Good. I can reuse a thumbnail. That'll be easier on me. Maybe I'll make some additions to it.
We weren't that impressed with the spy book that we were playing. The Fairy Mound of Dragonkind, that's it. The spy book that we were playing, it didn't really go anywhere. So we're dropping that, and we're going to go back to the Fairy Mound of Dragonkind.
Too top secret to let you have anything happen.
We spent so much time just you check out this person's place. Look at all the different things in their place. There's nothing there. Okay.
Sounds like you got the equivalent of an Animal Crossing choose your own adventure. Let's go into your friend's house. What cool things do they have? Cool. Time to leave. Walk around the town. Did they get all their bugs from their museum?
Somebody invented a walking simulator. Choose your adventure. And then on Tuesday, of course, we're into Mine O'Clock, followed by more Control on Talking Simulator, where they're playing the Control DLC now. Followed by Resident Evil 6 on Let's Nope. Lots of cool stuff.
Hi.
And Beej is back.
Hey, why are you back?
Meeting canceled.
Oh.
Due to illness.
Okay.
I'm sick of working.
And now let's thank all the awesome people who subscribed during the stream, because these people are all great. I can affirm that.
I can move over slightly, give you a little bit more of the screen. I'll share.
Sayarcot 895 is a new subscriber.
Woo! Ashton got gifted a sub by an anonymous ghost.
Choristi returns for their 6 years. Welcome back.
Hey, Green Monster 450, one of our wonderful mods for 50 months. Nice. That's almost half a year in months.
Yes.
And also decimal. And also not at all that.
Yeah.
Bits! 150 bits! Yeah!
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 Yeah! Yeah!
Yeah.
Yeah! Yeah!
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go offline now, but thanks everybody for watching. In about an hour and 20 minutes, be back with the Friday night paper fight.
Proper paper fight.
Proper paper fight.
Proper paper fight.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. Talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.